nation. People clung to idol adoration. For all nations he...
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're still studying the biography of Sulaim, may Allah be pleased with her, one of the great companions of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, one whose dowry was the most valuable in Islam, because when Abu Talha came to propose to her, he was not a Muslim, and she made her dowry that he accepts Islam. And he did accept Islam, and they got married, and Abu Talha became one of the great companions of the Prophet ﷺ. Sulaim had a sister known as Haram bint Milhan. And she also had a brother, and his name was Haram ibn Milhan. Haram ibn Milhan, may Allah be pleased with him, was sent among a group of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ to the center of Arabia. And the reason was a man by the name of Amir ibn Malik, known as Mula'ib al-Asinnah, came to Medina, and he was a pagan, and he was the leader of the tribes of the central area of Arabia. And the Prophet ﷺ gave da'wah to him, and he told him about Islam. He recited the Quran to him. This man did neither reject Islam nor accept it. He was in between. He was hesitant, but he liked what he had heard. So he requested the Prophet ﷺ to send some of his companions to his tribes and to call them to Islam. The Prophet ﷺ was hesitant, and he told him why that was. He told him that he was afraid that some of these tribes would attack his companions, those who are calling them to Islam. And Mula'ib al-Asinnah, this man, said, I will be their protector. They will come under my name and my flag, and they shall have my protection. So the Prophet ﷺ sent this expedition, sent a group of his companions, and among them was Haram ibn Milhan. They traveled so many days and nights until they reached one of these tribes, and they were addressing the leader of this tribe, and his name was Amir ibn al-Tufayl. Amir ibn al-Tufayl was a wicked and bad person. As Haram ibn Milhan, may Allah be pleased with him, was delivering the message of Islam with all respect and presenting the virtues of this great religion, Amir instructed one of his followers, one of his tribesmen, to deceit and deceive, to betray the pledge that his chief tribesman gave to the Prophet ﷺ to protect these people from any harm's way. He instructed one of his tribesmen to come and kill Haram ibn Milhan without Haram knowing so. So this man came from behind Haram ibn Milhan with his spear, and he stabbed him from his back. He did not have the guts to fight him face to face. He assassinated him. He came from his back, and he stabbed him with the spear until it came out of his chest. Haram ibn Milhan, may Allah be pleased with him, at that particular moment did not think of the wife or the children, did not think of the house he was to build, did not think of the investments that will be left alone. He dipped his hand in his blood and then washed his face with it as he was falling and dying, and said, in glory and happiness, by Allah, I have won. He said these words as he died. By Allah, by the Lord of the Kaaba, I have won. Fuztu wa Rabbil Kaaba. And this came as a shock to the man who killed him. That was unexpected. The man is dying and he is saying that he has won. To so many people, when they look at this story, it is beyond their imagination. A man is losing everything, so we think, and he is happy and saying in glory that he has won, because the measures and the measurements are different. Our standards are different to their standards. His standard was either victory or paradise. There's no other way out. Haram ibn Milhan either wanted victory, to be victorious, or to die in the cause of Allah. And this is what happened. Amir ibn Tufail instructed his people to kill everyone in that expedition. And this was known as Bi'r Ma'una, the well of Ma'una, because of that location. That is why the Prophet ﷺ used to treat this man's sisters, Umm Sulaim and Haram, in a very gentle way. It was reported that the house of Sulaim and Haram were the only houses that the Prophet ﷺ would visit, and he might take a nap in the afternoon, other than the houses of his wives. He would not do any of this except in the houses of these two women. And that is what caused some of the scholars to raise question marks. What was the relation between the Prophet ﷺ and these two women? Were they blood related? Were they considered to be mahram? Because we know that a man should not mix or associate and do these things except when the woman is his mahram. Mahram meaning that he cannot ever marry her, such as a sister, an aunt, a daughter, a mother, etc. So some scholars said that this was a speciality of the Prophet ﷺ. Allah Azza wa Jal gave him few things that only he could enjoy. For example, there are things such as not needing to perform ablution after sleeping. In the authentic hadith, Mother Aisha says that the Prophet ﷺ prayed night prayer and slept until he snored, and she heard that. And after a while, after hours, he woke up for Fajr prayer and went to pray without performing ablution. So she told him, O Prophet of Allah, you slept until you snored, and now you're going to pray without performing ablution? What did the Prophet ﷺ answer her? This is inshallah what we will find out after the break.
From among all the prophets, Muhammad was the last.
الله أكبر A friendly message by Dr. Zakir. Old Age Home.
Al-Quran, Surah Al-Isra, chapter number 17, verses number 23 and 24 says, your Lord has decreed that you worship none but Him, and that you be kind to parents. Whether one or both of them attain old age in your life, say not a word of contempt. Do not say off to them, nor repel them, but address them in terms of honor. And out of kindness, lower to them the wing of humility and say, my Lord, bestow on them your mercy, even as they cherished me in childhood. There is no place for old age home in Islam.
Peace TV, the solution for humanity.
From among all the prophets, Muhammad was the last.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Prophet ﷺ slept until he snored. Yet when the call for Fajr was called, he went to prayer without performing wudu. And he himself told us that if someone sleeps, he should perform wudu, because he would not be aware of himself whether he passed wind or not. So Aisha raised the question to the Prophet ﷺ, and she told him that you slept and I heard you snore, and now you're going to pray without performing wudu? The Prophet told her ﷺ that this is a gift from Allah. He said that I'm not like you people. I sleep while my heart is awake, which means that the Prophet ﷺ physically sleeps, but his heart is still awake and is still aware of what's happening to him. The Prophet ﷺ, whenever he was to lead the prayer, he would call upon his companions and say, straighten up your rows, because I see you from behind my back. The Prophet ﷺ did not have any cameras, rear view cameras. He did not have eyes at his back. But this is a speciality that Allah, the Almighty, had given him so that he could see what is happening behind him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Among these specialities, that he is allowed to marry more than 4 wives. And he had 9 wives. But to us, this is not permissible. So there are specialities for the Prophet ﷺ, exemptions that he, from Allah Azza wa Jal, is allowed to do things we are not allowed to do. And they are a handful. Among them, some scholars say that he alone does not have any mahram, meaning that any strange woman, he could treat her as a sister or as a daughter. This is only for him, alayhi salatu wasalam. But this is questionable, debatable. Why is that? Well, it was reported in the authentic hadith when the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam entered Mecca, in the conquest of Mecca, he went there and all the people of Mecca started accepting Islam and giving him the Pledge of Allegiance. And came to him a group of women. Among them was Hind bint Utbah. She was the wife of Abu Sufyan ibn Harb. And she was also the daughter of Al-Walid ibn Utbah, who was killed on the battlefield in Badr. And she was the one who instructed Wahshi ibn Harb to assassinate and to kill Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ. And the report says that he did this to be freed, and he was freed by her because he succeeded in his mission. After he accepted Islam, he said that I wanted to expiate for that great sin I did when I was not a Muslim by killing the greatest martyr, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. I decided to kill the greatest sinner, the kadhab, the liar, the one who prophesied and lied and said that I am a prophet with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, Musaylimah, the liar. And he killed him. So he said, I killed the worst person as an expiation for killing the best person among the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. She hired Wahshi to kill Hamza. And the story says that she got Hamza's liver after mutilating his body, and she tried to eat it and she could not. So she spitted it. She did all of this as to avenge her father Al-Walid, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, and her brother Al-Walid ibn Utbah, and her uncle Shaybah ibn Rabi'ah. So Hind bint Utbah was not a Muslim at the time. When she accepted Islam, she went with a group of women to give the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet ﷺ. And when they arrived, the Prophet was talking to them and they accepted the conditions and what he had said. They told him, O Prophet of Allah, extend your hand to us so that we can give you the pledge of allegiance. We could shake hands. Whenever you want to give your allegiance to someone, you shake his hands to confirm this. And the Prophet ﷺ said that I do not shake hands with women. So this illustrates to us that the Prophet ﷺ did not take this as an exception, as a speciality for him, that he may shake hands with women or he may mix with women who are not mahram. No, he was like everybody else, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So this answers the first allegation, which says that the Prophet used to spend the afternoon in Sulaim and Haram's house because this was his speciality. This was an exception, an exemption for him to do such things. And this is not the most authentic opinion. The Prophet ﷺ did not shake hands with any other strange woman because it was forbidden for him, and it's also forbidden for all Muslims. Nowadays, we see Muslims shaking hands with their cousins, with their sisters-in-law, with their co-workers, with anyone they see. We see things that are shameful. They may kiss them on the cheek because they are their relatives. And they say that this is normal. This is the customs, the traditions. And some, when you tell them that this is forbidden, they may argue and say, why? Why do you guys always think negatively? Why can't it be a friendly shake hand? Why does it have to have something behind that? First of all, we don't assume that there has to be something behind that, but this is in compliance to the instruction of our Prophet ﷺ. As Muslims, we are forced to follow him because he would not guide us, he would not tell us anything except those that are beneficial to us in this life and in the hereafter. He himself refused to shake hands with women, though if he did, no one would ever accuse him of having an ill intent. Astaghfirullah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would never have such a thing. Besides, he was the one who told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that it is best for a man to be stabbed in his skull, in his head, with an iron nail, rather than to touch a woman that it is not permissible for him. Look at this example. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, it is best, it is better for you to be stabbed in your head with an iron nail than to touch a woman who is not permissible for you. Therefore, one should refrain from such things. That is why Allah Azza wa Jal had protected us and had guided us to preserve our chastity. How to do that? Well, Allah Azza wa Jal had made boundaries by not, first of all, mixing between the sexes. And I'm talking about the organized mixing of the sexes. When you walk in the streets and you see women, this is not mixing up because you'll see them only once. Seeing them in the market, seeing them in the haram, this is not mixing up. What is forbidden is to mix up in the workplace, is to mix up at school, for example, where they socialize, they look at each other, they sit with each other for more than 6 or 7 hours, and shaitan does his thing over there. So Islam tells us, do not do such a thing. Islam tells us that a woman should not wear perfume. Why is that? If she's going to pass by men, strangers, who would find the scent, and this would provoke them, this would lure them. So the Prophet tells us this is forbidden, and whoever does this, she has the same ruling of an adulteress. Islam tells a woman not to wear a bracelet in her leg, so that when she walks, it makes a sound. Even that sound is forbidden, because men would look up for such a sound and they would fantasize, most likely. Touching her is forbidden. Looking at her and her looking at him is also forbidden if it was because of enjoyment, because of enjoying it. That is why Allah the Almighty tells us to lower our gaze. Even in the masjid, the holy place of worship, Allah Azza wa Jal asks us, instructs us, commands us to segregate men from women by saying that the best row of men is the first and the worst row of men is the last. And the best row of women is the last and the worst row of women is the first. So even in the masjid, it's a form of worship. Allah Azza wa Jal commands us to separate and segregate men from women. And that is why you could never have a woman leading men or praying next to men. This is not permissible. So this, the Prophet ﷺ shares the same verdict with all of us. Then how would we justify that he ﷺ used to spend the afternoon nap in the house of Umm Sulaim and Haram? Scholars like Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar and others say that he was surely related to them either by suckling, because his mother sallallahu alaihi wasallam was from Bani Zuhra, and his father was also related to the people of Medina through his mother's side, so from Bani Najjar. So definitely there had to be a link, a relationship, because these two were the only two that the Prophet ﷺ used to do these things, used to nap in their houses. Haram used to search his head while he was sleeping, his hair, to see if there was any fleas or dirt or bugs or whatever. This was the customs in Arabia, and it is forbidden for a woman to do this for a man unless she was related to him. That is why the most authentic opinion among scholars is that she, that is Sulaim and Haram, were related to the Prophet ﷺ, and they were his mahram. And also there was another justification, that the Prophet ﷺ felt sorry for them because their brother was assassinated while he was executing work to the Prophet ﷺ and calling people for Islam. That is why he felt merciful sallallahu alaihi wasallam and felt kind to these two women. This is all the time we have for today's program. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Muhammad, peace be upon his soul. The greatest of prophets, Islam was his only goal. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa